Hello, Internet. Welcome to Crying While Driving. We have Ken joining us today. We're sipping a clarified-ish painkiller on this cold winter day. If you have a favorite tiki drink, drop it in the comments. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you.
Ken with all the dogs. They love you. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your relationship to queerness?
Sure. I grew up in Fall River, and I've been, I guess, queer in one form or the other at least since early high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in my 30s now, so probably more than half my life.
So, you're trans?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey with that?
Yeah, I started using he, him pronouns just like, I don't want to say as a joke, but like almost as a joke in high school. I had a friend, he was my brother, although at the time he was also a lesbian. And so I think that those were like early on signs that I didn't realize were signs.
Okay.
I didn't fully transition till the age of 25, until I think it took me a long time. I went back and forth because it's not something you can necessarily come back from. You can. If I chose to detransition, it is a possibility, but I feel like it's not ever going back to who you were. So I just wanted to make sure that it was what I wanted, and I had reached a point where, like, I was pretty convinced, or not convinced, but, like, I really thought that it was, and I knew I was never going to know unless I did it, so I had to do it. So I think I'm, like, 6 years in at this point, and I have absolutely no regrets. I do really think that I made the right decision for myself.
What were the first couple of, like, weeks or months on hormones like?
Honestly, like everyone visually could tell. Like, it's not an instant gratification thing where you walk out of the store and you have your selected item in your hands. It takes time. You gotta, like, let the medicine do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of patience, and it's a slow process. So you have to go through that, like, you know, when you get, like, a short haircut, but you miss your long hair and you want to grow it out, but there's that awkward in-between stage.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through that just like any other thing.
Anyways, so I'm curious. So it's not a thing. It's not a process in which you get instant gratification. So how do you, like, take care of your mental health today, but also, like, throughout that process, did you have a therapist? Did you have any, like, friends or community that had gone through the same thing?
So I did actually, my brother in high school transitioned much earlier in his life than I did.
Okay.
So I had him when I was going through it. I did not have a therapist at the time, but I do now. And I very much love my therapist now. So, I mean, going through it then was probably more of just like day-to-day relations.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everybody needs a therapist.
Yeah, for sure. I support that 100%. That's so cool that you had a built-in support system in your brother.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So your parents must be supportive.
My father is not existed in my life.
Okay.
I actually make the comment kind of often that he doesn't even know he has 2 sons.
Wow.
But my mother is very present in my life and is very supportive.
Amazing. What would you tell somebody who is thinking of going down a similar path and doesn't know where to start?
I chose to, I guess my first step was medically. I chose my primary care doctor at the time. I chose Fenway Health in Boston because they are very familiar with the community. They actually specialize within the community. And to me, that was like, they have the resources I need to do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So they almost, I really think that honestly, now I might not so much need them as a primary care because they're in Boston, and now if I get a cold, I have to go all the way up there. But at the time, especially going through up until maybe shortly after top surgery, was probably the best option to have primary care in a facility that at least maybe a little bit specializes in it to where they have the resources that you're going to need.
Mm-hmm. So find the right medical team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how much did your like support system play into you being ready to like make the step to have surgery?
I think a lot. I think a lot of most people in my life were not surprised by the information when I was coming out again, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where I've literally dressed like a boy since I was, even before I knew I was ever gay.
Mm-hmm.
My brother used to be mad because I would go through his closet. I played baseball at a very young age up until I like graduated out of the league that I was in, and I very much enjoyed it. I know that like girls like baseball just as much as boys do, but it was just different. And I feel like little things like that were just signs at a younger age that I didn't realize at the time were signs.
Mm-hmm. It's funny looking back. I have some of those too. Just like, oh, girl, you were so gay. Oh, man.
You had no idea.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah.
So you found the right medical team. You had a support system. What was the next step to being ready to make the jump for surgery?
I think it was just me. I think I was the step that I needed to be sure of what I wanted and take that step and just do it instead of always wondering if I should or shouldn't.
Having so much to contend with at a young age, such big questions, I'm curious about your romantic life and if you dabbled in dating, if that was something that you tackled like after surgery. What's your relationship?
It was very self-finding of me at the time in my life, I think. So I didn't transition until I was about 25, and it was about 6 to 8 months prior to my transition that I went through a really traumatic breakup from a very toxic relationship. And I think by letting a lot of that go and restarting my life and finding myself, I was able to really figure out who I am and what I wanted. And I feel like as soon as that happened, my whole life just domino affected, and I found Alexis, and everything just was where I needed it to be after that.
Yeah.
I found her at the pretty beginning of my transition. I don't necessarily remember it, but she remembers me basically like introducing myself as trans, because I was at that awkward middle stage where I feel like people knew anyway. And so instead of giving people that opportunity to guess and figure it out when I walked away, I was just like, yes, I'm trans, it is what it is. And so she was actually, and I think it's all comes together in like with me finding myself and being just a little more confident in myself. She's the first girl I ever actually had the balls to ask out. I walked her to her car one day after shift and asked her out to a walk-in dinner, and she said yes, and here we are almost 6 years in.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
And this is your fiance.
This is my fiance, who
Heck yes.
we are currently, we are likely to be married in the next couple of years.
Woo! We love to hear it. We love to hear it. We love to see it. Alexis, cheers to you. Maybe she'll come on sometime. Do you think she would?
I don't doubt that she would. She's a good, if you need a therapist in the community.
I need a therapist personally, actually, so. Do you think that being a trans man gives you any, like, leg up or edge being a partner to a woman?
Yes. I actually kind of say often that sometimes the way my brain works, if you will, or like my way of thinking is very like I feel as though if I wasn't born a female, I may not have the same outlook on life as I do.
Yeah.
So I think it gives me the ability to A, have a point of view of both sides, and I think be more understanding to my partner. And just be, take those things to make me a better man that I probably wouldn't have been had I been born one to begin with.
Sure, yeah. Because I think at the very least there's such an argument to be made for like the huge questions you've had to sit with for your whole life, basically, like surrounding identity and gender, and if nothing else, like your capacity for empathy has got to be like a deep well.
Absolutely. I do like to think that I'm probably one of the most understanding people that I know. So my friends actually call me their "oh shit" button, and it's like, "oh shit, what do we do?" They call me.
That's such a huge compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do for work?
I am a program manager of a group home with folks with developmental disabilities. So some of them have like a little more on the mental spectrum, some of them are a little more physically disabled, some of them have a combination of both, and we just help them navigate their day-to-day life and help them do whatever it is they want or need to do.
What's the most rewarding part of that job?
I personally would say like community, and just watching them enjoy basic things we take for granted, just like going clothes shopping or picking out their own soap that they get to take a shower with, things that we don't even like really take into consideration. These folks don't even get to do every day in their lives.
Wow, that's a great point. What's the hardest part of your job?
Watching them go through their medical struggles and not really having any ability on my end to help them all the time. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so I can't give them everything they need, but we do our best.
You also have a background in culinary.
I do. I went to college for culinary arts. I actually received a certificate for it.
Are you the cook in your family, in your relationship?
In my relationship, for sure. She doesn't think she cooks that well, but I think she's just fine. But in the relationship, for sure. And I do make a couple of like signature things for the family that like my mom will always talk about or something.
Oh, what are some of your favorite things to make?
Well, one of the family's favorite things is my chowder. So I occasionally make that. Soups is usually my go-to. And I usually make like really big pots of it, and then I'll just like give Tupperwares to people.
Do you have a relationship to religion? Did you grow up in a religious household? Has that like informed your queerness at all?
So yes, but I think my household growing up was very unique in the aspect of I did grow up Catholic, and I did go to like Sunday school. I was an altar server. I carried the cross in at the beginning of the Mass. As I grew older, I even read like the first and second readings, whatever, a lector, I think they were called. So like I was, up until probably confirmation, I was pretty involved in the church. And I liked being involved at the time. I don't think I ever had any like weird negative experiences in the Catholic Church, thankfully. At the time, I was also just a little girl. I didn't even know that I was gay, so that probably was fine there. But my mom was more spiritual than religious, and as I got older, she become a reverend, and she's a medium. So she's very like entwined with the other side, and she's very involved in like a non-denominational church. So as much as I was grown up Catholic, I also was grown up like much more open-minded than the average Catholic.
What's it like growing up with a mother that's a medium?
Pretty cool now. Pretty weird growing up in the aspect of like, I had a scenario. I brought a friend over. I just told her like, so-and-so and so-and-so are coming. And my friends came and she was like, who's this? And they were like, that's me. And she laid it all on them, told them about their whole life, why they struggle with their mom, and they had a grandparent standing behind them. My friend left my house in tears, and I was like,
Oh.
great job, Mom. Like,
Oh, no.
I know that that's obviously, like, a great thing for somebody to hear and have, like, clarity on, but I was like, I can't even have friends. She's making them all cry. But
Oh, no.
it was very cool, and I'll tell you, she gave me a lot of, like, my mom would always say, like, don't do this is gonna happen. I'd be like, yeah, Mrs. Medium is always right, and I wouldn't listen to her. And sure as shit, Mrs. Medium was always right. So as I grow older, I learned to take her words into consideration.
Oh my God. What was it like introducing Alexis to your mom?
I have a really good relationship with my mom. At that point, my mom, I had already started transitioning. My mom was aware, very supportive. My mom's always been very welcoming of anyone that I introduced to her. So I think that it went well.
Yeah.
And I think to this day they have a really good relationship, so I'm grateful for that.
She didn't scare Alexis off with any like crazy stories. Obviously you're engaged.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't remember anything yet.
What was the proposal like? Did you propose?
I did. I proposed at a cabin in New Hampshire. I think she kind of knew it was coming. I struggle with the aspect of, like, if a woman is going to wear a ring for the rest of her life, she should have some input as to what it's going to look like.
Sure.
So she picked out her ring, so she already knew that I was looking for one.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think she knew it was coming, but I was also confident in asking. So.
Did you cry?
I don't remember.
Did she cry?
I'm gonna say yeah for her for sure.
I don't know if you struggle with this, but like even when I was like looking for like men's clothes, like I found it hard to find men's clothes. Do you have any trouble finding clothes that like fit you just because, you know, like you were assigned female at birth, so you might have like a slightly different body than like, you know, is mass produced for like cis men?
I think that because I started dressing so young, definitely, I say all the time, like a schmedium, because like a small I can fit in, but sometimes a small runs small, and then a medium I'm swimming in, so I'm like that weird in between size. So maybe in that aspect, yes, but I feel like I've been dressing like a boy for so long that I already kind of know, like, this pant size works for me, this shirt size, if it looks like this, then I can swing it. If it doesn't pull like this, then I should probably skip it.
Mm-hmm.
You have the extra hurdle of being very petite, I think.
Yeah.
I also have the, I feel, advantage, I'm going to say, in, like, I've gone through top surgery, so I no longer have to, like, concern about my chest and the top.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. How do you feel in your body today? Do you feel compelled to do any more surgeries, to reconstruct? What does your relationship with your body look like today?
Currently today, I think my relationship with my body is the best that it has ever been. I do not currently feel the need to go through any more surgeries. I think that I have someone who loves me the way that I am, and accepts me, and I think that is helpful in the situation. I also think that I portray to the public eye the way that I need to. And so I think I've grown to a space of, like, comfort in that area.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Cheers to that. Clink. I have sort of the heavy question for you. With the incoming administration, how do you plan to take care of yourself, like, outside of therapy?
I just kind of... My therapist, I think, called it a space of acceptance. I find that they're going to do up there what they want to do up there, regardless of what anyone feels. And so I'm just going to ride it out. I mean, the one thing that I hope can't and doesn't happen is that he can't change the rule of him running for more than this last term. And then we just have to survive for the next 4 years. And hope that the next person that takes over isn't any worse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Moment of silence for what is to come.
Yeah. I'm just gonna hang out at home for a couple of years and ride on out.
Yeah, I think that we'll all have to come together as a community and really bask in like joy and finding joy.
Yeah.
What do you think the best parts of being queer are?
Just being able to not be like them.
The streets.
Just like the close-minded, the arrogance, the unacceptance, the world.
It takes so much energy to be angry and to remain confused and be like willfully ignorant.
Yeah, absolutely. To then just let people live their lives.
Yeah.
Like I don't pay your bills. I don't affect your bills. I don't walk in front of you while you're roaming through the stores. Like I don't affect your life in any way. Just let me live mine and you live yours.
Have you and Alexis, has there been any conversation around leaving the United States, leaving the country?
Very briefly. We're not very like political people, so we just keep our heads down, mind our business. I probably would pick somewhere to go that wouldn't be much better off. So at least, I guess for now in America, I can be who I am and not be arrested or killed for it. So I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, you feel safe in the Northeast and in this area.
Yeah, for sure in the Northeast. I hate the cold, but I'd rather stay up here than go anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys want kids?
I think her sometimes. I guess me also sometimes. There's like brief moments where I'm like, yeah, I could swing that. But then you hear a kid cry in a store and I'm just like, somebody give that thing back. I like the ability and the freedom of my life to just come and go as I please.
Yeah.
I always say I can barely take care of myself, never mind another human being.
And is it fair to call your job like you are a caretaker in a lot of respects?
It's funny that you say that because I have a staff every so often who will ask me about children, and I tell him I have 5 children plus 14 children because of all my staff.
Yeah.
I have all the kids I can ever need. My brother has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4
So you're
children.
an uncle.
I'm good, yeah.
You're living my dream.
I have an uncle. I'm an uncle. I have 2 godchildren.
Oh.
Alexis has tons of nieces and nephews on her end, so we have plenty of present children in our lives.
Yeah, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Absolutely.
So you met Alexis at the beginning of your transition. What did she do to make you so comfortable? Like, what did she do or say, or what was it about her that really allowed you to open up?
So it's really funny. She didn't do much. When I first met Alexis, she was being interviewed for a position at, or it was either her interview or her first day at the job. She was sitting in the office, and I walked through to clock in, and you know how in the movies where like the world, you can feel it spinning as slow as it really goes? Mm-hmm. It was very similar to that. I swear I felt the world turn. And I gave it 3 days. I kind of tried to talk to her a little bit at work. She thinks I'm kidding. She's the prettiest girl I've ever seen. And so I couldn't help myself. I knew that if I didn't, I did it not even knowing if she had another partner. But I knew that if I didn't do it soon enough, that somebody else would. So I just jumped on my opportunity, and it was the best thing I've ever done.
Pause for sweetness. So sweet. Yeah, so it sounds like you met her at the right time because you were really secure in yourself and you knew who you were and what you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of it was all a matter of timing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Timing is everything. So,
cheers.
Yeah. Goodbye, Internet. We're signing off. If you have a story to share, drop it in the comments. If you are considering a top surgery, tell us about it below.
And we're up.
Good.
Good.
Cool.